Today we're going to have a little bit of a game with this frame. It came into us for a quality check, and I want you to play along and timestamp your comment of when you would tap out and send this frame back. But before we get started, a little bit of context. This is a giant Revolt frame, and the customer special ordered this amazing paintwork, and they brought it to us for a quality check before they started the build themselves. They've been waiting about 7 weeks for this frame to arrive. They've already brought the group set, they've already brought the ride wrap, the InvisiFrame thing to go with it. They're really looking forward to building this bike themselves and getting it done. But they just wanted us to QC it and put anything right that we felt was wrong. It's actually a very, very common job for us now. Most of the time, it just needs a little bit of corrective work or just a big thumbs up seal of approval. This one's a little bit different. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because I started work on this bike and I got to the point where I was like, do you know what? There's too many things wrong with it. I need to stop and then consult with the customer. So let me go through what I've done, because I've already done some of the corrective work. The place I started was down at the bottom bracket. Here's a picture of what it was like when I put it with the go, no-go gauges. And all I did was use a little bit of sandpaper, a 180 grit, use it wet and very, very fine detail just to correct that until we got those gauges in. So corrected the bottom bracket shape just like that. And there's a little bit of paint overspray on the surfaces just here, and you can see from these pictures how I corrected that. Now, the other thing that I noticed straight away as I got it out of the box was that the mech hanger wasn't looking completely straight. Now, most shops would normally just get their derailleur hanger tool out and start correcting it. What I actually like to do is remove the mech hanger completely and look underneath and look for any paint and carbon burrs, and there were loads. So I got in there with a very fine piece of sandpaper, folded up into a little triangle, and very carefully sanded all that out until I was happy that it had a really flush fit. The non-drive side was similar but not as bad, because the actual mounting points are actually a metallic surface, actually part of this that we bolt in. Then I got to the brake mount. So on my first glance as I got it out of the box, it just looked like a bit of an annoying paint overspray. But then as I got closer, I noticed this is going to be a real pain to fix. One, these brake mounts are like my least favorite type because they are so far recessed that I can't get a tool on there. You definitely can't get the VIR tool on there. I probably and only get the park tool on the front one. I'd never get it onto the back one. There's just too much frame material in here to get it on there and get it really precise. So anything I did here was going to have to be done by hand, which is a sort of a long, laborious process. Anyway, as I got into it, you could feel the roughness on this surface here, and then I noticed there's a little flake of carbon just here, which kind of needs gluing down, really. The underneath was no better, and this is important. If you're going to get your brake caliper to sit completely flush and therefore not be at an angle with your brake rotor, these really do need to be completely flat. The clue's in the name, it is meant to be a flat mount system. So this is the point where I called it. How are you guys getting on? After that point, I've just consulted with the customer. They've asked us to make this video and detail any other faults that we found as well. So down here in the seat post area, there's a little blob of paint here. That's not significant. If I run my finger, there's like a little carbon burr just there. Again, easy to remove, but I haven't done that yet. Now, the headset area actually looks pretty clean. There's a tiny little blob of paint here, but nothing that's going to actually impact the fitting at all. But I just want to give credit where it's due. Look at this. I know it's a really tiny bearing, but stainless steel bearing and balls, that's incredibly progressive. If you're going to be running cables through these bearings, stainless steel, brilliant. So well done, Giant, for providing good quality stainless steel bearings, which hopefully won't corrode quite as easily. So well done. Before I get to the fork, there's one thing I want to show you on the inside here, and we'll get the boroscope. But what I noticed as I was just correcting this bottom bracket, there's loads of like flaps of loose carbon here, and I actually got a little carbon splinter the first time I was doing it. So really rough finished section just here, which is pretty uncool, really.
Just appreciating life. Focus. If it's real, you know it's gonna come back. This that season, but there's no comeback. If you let go, then please don't run back. Cause if it ain't love, then we don't want that. Yeah. All the sacrifices that my parents made for me, I return it all, you could get the world from me. Stay the same, make it big, can you still love me? Will you still want me? Cause just like you, I've been trying to mediate, see the value in things, stacking up this dough so I could be with you. Stay isolated, bro, the saga still continues. Forever. Indies. Double I.
Right, let's take a look at the fork. So, first thing I noticed was that there's two distinct ridges that I can feel running down the outside of this fork here. Now, this is important for two things. One, these bearings need to slide over and sit flush. You want this to be a really flush fit. So, there's all this paint around here, but more to the point, we've got these ridges, and this bearing does not sit nice and straight like it should. The other problem is when you come to install the compression ring, and if you put this up to the frame, the compression ring is going to sit about here. This compression ring sits exactly where that peak is. So you now have a stress point, and it's just pretty shoddy. Now to fix this, I can just sand this off, no problem. I have to say though, that the wall thickness is fairly uniform. Coming down, the brake mounts on this are terrible. I mean, I can literally hit this with my fingernail and we will never ever get a brake mount to sit completely flush on those. And then the other disappointing mark is all this paint on the inside here. And this is important because this is where the axle of your hub is going to rest up against as you put these in. So you want this to be a completely flush interface. If it's not, you will get a creaking and a squeaking sound out of your hubs. So there we go. How far did you get? What did your timestamp? Or are you all the way through the video and think, actually, do you know what? I'll just let Mapdeck build it and crack on. Right, time to get down in the comments. If you like this sort of content, please think about subscribing. We are on a mission to make sure that brands quality control their bikes properly before they end up in our hands or even your hands. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
That's really bad. Okay, I think we got something. Okay.
Cool.